Welcome to Oxford Community Television News. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. And coming up this week in the news, lots of new signs going up in Oxford and a new business too. And it took a man 70 years to receive his military medal. Find out how.
Stay tuned and learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. It looks as though the new Genesis Credit Union building is another step closer to becoming a reality. The Village Planning Commission gave a nod of approval to the preliminary building plans, and Genesis plans include drive-through for customer service and a good-sized parking lot. An electronic sign was also discussed and was met with mutual approval. However, a special land use permit was required and the property would have to be approved and rezoned as conditional zoning. Genesis agreed to assist with costs to the East Alley project also, which borders the applicant's property on the east side. Once the Planning Commission has made its final recommendation, the project will be sent to the Village Council for final approval.
A new yoga studio was granted a special land use permit for recreation and will soon open their doors to the downtown Oxford area. The new business owner is Paul Barr, and Barr will be accepting new members soon, but first he has to do some remodeling in his building first. He also has plans to bring his classes to our studio at OCTV, so stay tuned so you can have it in your living room as well.
And it looks as though John Burt Realty will be getting a new window sign, but this isn't just like any ordinary sign. The project will require the removal of a front window and installation of a TV-type sign with a keyboard. The sign will allow persons to access pictures and information about the homes and local financing, and according to John Burt, this is a system used by advanced realty companies who wish to provide the latest and most up-to-date information about local properties, all at the touch of a keyboard. Burt's company was granted a special land use permit by the Planning Commission for the realty to proceed with the project.
After a dispute about the number of dispatch personnel that the Oxford Township wants to see seated at the Village Emergency Center, the Township pulled out of their contract for services and headed to the county dispatch. The Village honored their request and released the Township from the contract without penalty. Township officials requested an April switch date. However, a glitch in the switch at the county level has the Township Emergency Dispatch Services right back in the village for the time being. Oakland County Undersheriff Mike McCabe explained the township contract must first go to the Public Services Committee, then it will go before the full Board of Commissioners, then the contract will be referred to the Human Resources and Finance Committees, at which time the contract will go back to the County Board for a possible vote on April 17th. Village managers said they will stay on board for the township as long as they're needed, and that's according to Joe Young. I guess this could be an example of our government at work.
Thanks to the efforts of his daughter-in-law, Mary Ellen Faulkner of Addison Township, World War II veteran Richard Faulkner will finally receive his Purple Heart after 70 years. Richard was wounded in northern France in 1944, where he was the sole survivor of a downed B-17 bomber. The crew's mission was to fly over Augsburg, Germany. With the help of the French underground, he spent 29 days behind enemy lines dodging Germans. Richard was finally rescued by the British Navy. It seems this real human life story could be one fit for the Hollywood movie screen.
The Canadian Energy Distribution Company, who is laying new oil pipeline through Edison and Oxford Townships, Enbridge Enterprises, have canceled a proposed meeting, a public meeting that was going to happen in March. However, the meeting will be rescheduled, so keep an eye on the Oxford Leader newspaper for new date and time and location so that interested residents can attend this meeting.
In this background picture, Oxford High School teacher Dave Carson is coating the bald head of fellow teacher Phil Kimmel with peanut butter. Why, you might ask yourself? It was part of a stunt to raise money for a fundraiser called Common Ground. The charity helps youths, adults, and families in crisis. What? Where's the jelly? What do you think about that one?
I don't know. It sounds like a breakfast kind of news between peanut butter and jelly and a little bit of egg on somebody's face. I'm not sure who yet.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting, the story of, about what's going on with the township and the county situation. Bureaucracy is really interesting.
Oh, my goodness, it
That's
sure
why
is.
we think politicians and that type of thing is rather humorous sometimes.
It is humorous, and I guess if you want to get involved in politics and talk about it, you have to be in their shoes. That's all I can say.
Absolutely.
And that's it for this news this week. If you want to learn more about the stories that you heard here and more, go to any of your local stores and pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper.
Coming up next on OCTV, more news. First, Oxford local sports, then join Dave Kenny with his automotive talk show and Science in the News programs. Right after those reports, I'll be back with your weekly calendar of events.
This is it for Oxford Community Television News. I'm Terry Stiles.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. It's spring, and new plants and new cars are on the way. Lamborghini CEO Stefan Winkelmann predicts that the supercar maker's newest model will start breaking records in 2015. The Gallardo, the most successful Lamborghini of all time, ended production in November of 2013. Its replacement, the Huracan, made its world debut in Geneva. European and U.S. deliveries will start in the second half of this year. The Huracan's European starting price is €169,500, while the U.S. base price is $237,000, and both prices exclude taxes if you care that much. Winkelmann said Lamborghini is already sold more than 1,000 units of the Huracan, which has a 601 horsepower naturally aspirated V10 that propels it from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 3.2 seconds. The supercar's top speed is more than 202 miles an hour. The Huracan, which means hurricane in English, gets its name from a breed of Spanish bulls that fought in the late 1900s. Wow. And at Chrysler, the new subcompact 2015 Renegade unveiled at the Geneva Auto Show shares a platform with the Fiat 500L and will be assembled in a Fiat plant in Melfi, Italy. Its boxy upright design is reminiscent of the 2002 Jeep Liberty, but it is smaller and more technologically advanced in almost every respect. The Renegade is joining the Jeep brand as it targets selling more than 1 million vehicles worldwide annually. The vehicle is scheduled to go on sale in Europe by year-end and in the United States in early 2015, a Chrysler Group spokesman said. The Renegade, similar to the 2014 Jeep Cherokee, will have a variety of powertrain options depending on where it's sold. Like the Cherokee, it will be available in a Trailhawk model that provides for crawl gear and additional ground clearance. In North America, it will come with either a 1.4-liter turbocharged inline-4 that produces 160 horsepower and 170 pounds-feet of torque combined with a 6-speed manual, or a 2.4-liter inline-4 that produces 184 horsepower and 177 pounds-feet of torque combined with a 9-speed automatic. The smaller engine comes standard on the Sport and Latitude models, while the larger engine comes on the Limited and Trailhawk models. Fuel economy would be more than 30 miles per gallon. Full-time all-wheel drive, what Jeep calls active drive, is optional on the Renegade and features automatically disconnecting power takeoff and rear differential that reduces parasitic losses when traction is unneeded. The Trailhawk model comes standard with active drive low, which allows the Jeep to crawl over obstacles for maximum torque. Despite some similarities with the Liberty, Renegade features a number of first-time Jeep elements, including rear brake lights with X-shaped rear inserts that give it a distinctive look. It also has 2 optional roofs, one with a sunroof and the other with 2 removable panels. The Trailhawk model, like the Cherokee Trailhawk, also has painted red tow hooks poking out from the front and rear bumpers. Inside the cabin, Renegade features a 7-inch center stack infotainment screen, as well as a digitized customizable instrument cluster. It has an electronic parking brake and a terrain select dial that helps it achieve the best traction on loose surfaces, but uses a traditional shifter instead of the rotary dial one used on the Cherokee. Jeep has not announced U.S. pricing for the Renegade, so you'll have to wait. And at GM, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration gave GM until April 3rd to answer 107 questions about the recall of 1.6 million vehicles last month, many of which could require hundreds of pages in response. The recall covers 2005 to 7 Chevrolet Cobalts, 2003 to 2007 Saturn Ions, and 5 other nameplates. The ignition switches could allow a driver to easily cut off power to the engine while driving and prevent airbags from deploying in a crash, and GM acknowledged that its engineers first experienced issues with the ignition switches back in 2004. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcat School Update. The big news this week is word that the Oxford School District is the first public school district to achieve K-12 status in the International Baccalaureate program in the state of Michigan. Our Terry Stiles spoke with Assistant Superintendent Dr. Jim Schwartz about this.
The significance of that designation is really one that puts us on the map of IB schools in the country, if not in the world, being the first to accomplish that. But more importantly is what that offers the instruction for our children across the district in terms of interdisciplinary teaching, right from preschool on up through grade 12. Yeah, this was in total about a 3-year process for all the schools in the district. And the curriculum during that time period was totally overhauled from stem to stern. Teachers did a tremendous amount of work in the district to redevelop their curriculum, taking into account all of their benchmarks and standards that the nation and the state require, and placing that into themes of inquiry, themes of instruction that they then categorize their units in throughout the year. So it was a monumental task on the part of all teachers who took time in the evenings, weekends, summers, all outside of school hours to accomplish. So this is quite a feat that really the accolade should rest on them for all of their hard work.
And in that time frame, I'm assuming that you have seen responses on how the children are adjusting to that, grade-wise, etc. How has that gone, and how quickly have they responded to that adjustment?
I think the children have responded very quickly to that, and readily they can see the differences in instruction from pre-IB to now in terms of how they approach their subject matter. Students see much more of a project-oriented curriculum, many more activities that are going on in the classroom that extend to situations outside of that classroom, even into other countries. You know, we've had much more involvement in the district from places like Mexico, China. We have service projects from different places in Africa that are happening from place to place to place. So students are certainly seeing quite a larger community outside of their own in terms of a grander knowledge base and applying that knowledge.
And taking it beyond 12th grade, how do you think then that will affect adjustment for those that go on to higher education?
Sure. I think that, as we look at preparing our students for the global type of work environment that they're going to be going into, this can only benefit them in terms of getting them acquainted to that real-world problem solving involving different points of view, identifying with cultures that are different than their own, languages that are different than their own. When they go into that competitive job market, they're going to have an edge because they're going to have that knowledge base above any others that are going out there, whether they're working in a seated environment or whether they're working in a virtual environment where they're working online. You still have to have that, know that cultural difference, that etiquette, that way of doing business across international lines that I think our students will embody.
And this is more or less a pilot program for public schools. How many eyes are watching us?
I think quite a few. Almost daily I get phone calls from districts in the state, even outside of the state, wanting to know more about IB, wanting to know about our process of how we went about integrating it into the district. So it's catching on. It's catching on.
Bright future for Oxford students.
We think so. Yep. Thank you.
Terry Stiles with Dr. Jim Schwartz. The MEP results came out this week. That's the Michigan Educational Assessment Program. Out of 17 areas tested, we were above the county average in 10. We tested above the state average in all 17. Assistant Superintendent Schwartz says we know the areas to improve in. One of the concerns is elementary school science. Next year, one change will be that the test will be given in the spring rather than in the fall. This should minimize any summer regression. More results can be found on the district website. That's the Oxford Wildcat Schools update for this week. I'm John Ochins for Oxford Community Television. I'll see you next week.
After capturing their first league title in more than 30 years, the Oxford boys varsity basketball team lost 48-30 to Stony Creek Wednesday in the district semifinals. Now, after an 0-5 start to the season, the Wildcats pulled together to go on a run, winning 14 of the next 15 games, including beating Stony Creek twice. But the third time was not the charm for our boys as they went up against a strong Cougar defense. Oxford's dream season came to an end. Led by freshman Jamal Thomas with 12 points, Alex Hesse with 4 points, and Dell Alexander with another 4 points, head coach Stephen Henning said, "We got flustered because we wanted to break away. We wanted to go on that 6-0 run instead of just playing in the flow of the game." The Wildcats finished the season 14-7 overall and 12-2 in the OAA Blue Division. Now, the Cats, who will be graduating 5 seniors, who without a doubt have played a big part in this team's success, should be in good shape for next season, seeing as they're retaining some big impact underclassmen. Congratulations, guys, and we hope this is just the beginning of what looks like could be a basketball dynasty here in Oxford. Now, this being Michigan, it was strange for there to be no Oxford hockey season this past season, but that may soon change. Coming up on Friday, March 28th, there will be a meeting held to measure the interest of bringing back Wildcat hockey for the 2014-2015 season. Currently, because of not enough student participation, a team could not be sponsored, but that along with the topics of parental support, coaching, fees, and a possible cooperative agreement with Avondale High School will all be discussed at the meeting on Friday, March 28th at 6 p.m. in the Oxford High School cafeteria. A sign-up sheet will be posted outside the Oxford Athletic Office, or you could give them a call at 248-969-5115 with any questions. Now, staying with upcoming seasons, the start of the spring sports season is just around the corner. Any student interested in playing baseball, softball, lacrosse, track, golf, soccer, or tennis must first have an MHSAA-approved sports physical signed by their doctor on or after April 15th of 2013. They also must have passed at least 5 classes in the first semester with a minimum term GPA of 1.7. The upcoming tryout calendar can be found for all these sports on the Oxford Athletic website at oxfordathletics.org, or you could contact the individual team coaches at the Oxford Athletic office. And students should be ready to practice outside as soon as it is reasonable to do so, if that ever happens. Now, I'm Andy Curtis, and that's all for your Oxford sports this week. Now, as always, if you have an idea for a sports story or want to bring to my attention a score or event that I may have missed, email us at manager@occtv.org and put sports in the subject line. And remember, you can catch us here next week on Oxford Community TV for all your Wildcat sports updates. Thanks for watching.
You are watching the Michigan American Legion Station of the Year for the 4th year in a row, Oxford Community Television.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, want to read really, really fast? A new app called Spritz, designed for the small screens of smartphones and tablets, promises to get you reading at up to 1,000 words per minute. Spritz flashes each word on the screen one at a time, marking in red which part of the word you should focus on. And Samsung's new Galaxy S5, to be released very soon, will be the first to get the app. And in our next story, Congress has Mars in its eyes. In the wake of a hearing last week, the U.S. House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology has asked NASA to consider a crewed flyby of the red planet in 2021. The venture's funding and feasibility remain vague, however, and NASA's 2015 budget plan, recently released, maintains that an asteroid will be the first destination for astronauts riding the agency's next-generation space capsule. The Mars flyby proposal is built on plans for a privately funded mission laid out by Inspiration Mars, a nonprofit endeavor formed by multimillionaire Dennis Tito. Barely a year after Inspiration Mars was announced, Tito went before Congress hat in hand, saying the flight wouldn't be possible without the use of NASA's Space Launch System and Rocket and Orion space capsule, both in development. He made the case for NASA's led flyby of Mars and Venus in 2021, which he argued would cost less than $1 billion, but we know how those go. On February 27th, the independent panel testified on what it would take to make the mission a reality. The response was mostly positive, but some committee members raised concerns about the timeline and uncertain budget. Still, after the hearing, the committee chair, Texas Republican Lamar Smith, sent a letter to NASA Administrator Charles Bolton that includes a request for a technical and cost analysis of the 2021 Mars mission. For now, the official NASA plan does involve going to Mars, but not straight out of the gate. The 2015 budget provides for a total of $133 million for developing a mission to lasso an asteroid and bring it into low Earth orbit. The first crewed flight for the SLS and Orion would be in 2021 or 2022 as part of this mission, which the agency sees as a step toward a human mission to Mars in the 2030s. So we'll wait and see. And back to apps. Tinder has taken the online dating world by storm. The app lets users swipe through photos of prospective partners, and if both parties like what they see, it puts them in touch. Remember the Olympics. Now, that idea is being applied to the jobs market. Emjoyment, that is with an M, a newly launched employment website, shows users a series of job descriptions. Each includes details of the company, its location, and a one-sentence description of the job. If they are interested, they click the thumbs up button. If not, they hit the thumbs down. The employer sees similar employee cards on which resume highlights appear as key points. If both parties click thumbs up, employer and job seeker are put in touch. Emjoyment will shortlist the most suitable jobs using an algorithm that considers your requirements, location, and resume. And as you give jobs a thumbs up or thumbs down, the system learns to narrow its searches to better match what you want. The website will be complemented by a smartphone app due to launch next month, so wait. And on the medical front, silk is tougher than it looks. Weight for weight, the shiny stuff is as strong as steel when stretched, and now it seems it can be fashioned into screws so tough they can cut through bone. Metal alloy screws and plates can hold fractured bones together, but if they start to corrode, a second operation is required to remove them. Biodegradable alternatives can trigger inflammation and are time-consuming to implant. The polymers are so soft that you first have to drill a hole in the bone and fashion a helical ridge around the inside, the inner thread, to hold the screw in place. Samuel Lynn of the Harvard Medical School and David Kaplan of Tufts University in Medford, Massachusetts, wondered if silk screws and plates could work better. To find out, they dissolved silk in alcohol, poured the solution into molds shaped like the implants, and baked them. In rats, the poor old rats again, the team found that their silk screws were tough enough to carve their own threads into the bone as they screwed into a hole, just as metal alloy screws do. The silk naturally biodegrades with time, that is to say, like the polymer alternatives, but without causing inflammation. Clinical tests will hopefully begin in the near future, says Lynn, and we're all waiting for that one as we get older. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
I see it!
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome to another segment of the news we call your weekly calendar of events, where we feature your weekly calendar of local Oxford and Addison community events, including charity, special fundraisers, and general community information. Now, if you or your organization would like help to get your message out to the public, contact us for detailed information at our studio phone number 248-628-9658, or you can go to our website at occtv.org. Now, St. Joseph's School, located at M24 Lake Orion, has 2 paid job opportunities available. 1 part-time preschool aide from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. daily, and 1 substitute teacher's position at 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. or as needed. For more information, call 248-693-6215. Also, another job opportunity. St. Benedict Monastery is looking for an all-around maintenance person for 2 to 3 days a week, with experience in plumbing, heating, carpentry, and electrical repair. For more information, contact Father Damien at 248-778-6336. Addison Township and Lake Orion Townships are still both seeking volunteers for Meals on Wheels drivers. If you are a senior and you have 1 hour per week to share, or 1 hour every other week, you can make sure that no senior goes hungry. For more information, call 248-628-3388 or telephone 248-693-0440. March 17th, get on the Oxford bus and celebrate St. Patrick's Day at Soaring Eagle Resort and Casino in Mount Pleasant. Oxford Parks and Recreation is offering a trip where guests will be treated to a show by the 4 Irish tenors, singing your favorite Irish songs. The trip also includes $10 casino play and $5 meal vouchers. Call 248-628-1720 for more information, or go to oxparkrec.org. On Tuesdays, March 18th, April 15th, and May 2nd, at the Oxford Public Library, the ever-popular traditional bingo returns. Bring your friends and win an assortment of popular books. For more information, you can call 248-628-3034. March 25th through May 6th, sponsored and administered by the Oxford Public Library, toddlers ages 24 to 35 months will enjoy stories, songs, rhymes, and other fun activities. You must bring an adult lap for the toddler. Sponsors of this program want to make sure that this is a special time for you and your toddler, so please make other arrangements for other siblings. For more information, you can call 248-628-3034. Sounds like a fun time. If you have a local business, or if you're an interested person or organization wishing to show your support for local Oxford school sports, music concerts, or any of the many programs broadcast from our TV station, you could become a sponsor or an underwriter on OCTV. A promotional television spot would be created along with recognition given to you by our sports announcers during the event. It's easy and it's inexpensive. For more information, contact our TV station manager, Bill Service, at 248-628-9658, or send a message of interest to his email address, manager@occtv.org. Now, we at Oxford Community TV would like our television viewing public to learn more about your club or organization's special upcoming event or charity. So if you would like to get your special event mentioned on our television show, call us at 248-628-9658 or go to our website at occtv.org. A final reminder, you can find our OCTV program schedule by going to our website, occtv.org, and clicking on Programs. When you find the program schedule, you will see a large list of interesting programs we offer to you folks out there in television land. One program recommended is my good friend Bill Service, who always has interesting local stories and interviews on Our Community Access program. Check it out. This is Oxford Community Television, OCTV. I'm your host, Elgin Nichols. We invite you to join us again for the next segment of your weekly calendar of events.